and receive 15% off your entire order. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office,
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Stinchfield. So the war in Iran continues to set records every day. What do I mean by that? Every day, we are dropping more bombs than the day before. We are hitting more targets than the day before. Iran is now completely overwhelmed by the United States. We control the air. We control the sea. We control just about everything, including communications. This is Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War.
The combination of the world's two most powerful air forces is unprecedented and unbeatable. Between our Air Force and that of the Israelis, over 15,000 enemy targets have been struck. That's well over 1,000 a day. No other combination of countries in the world can do that.
It is quite amazing, and yet the mainstream media does not want to acknowledge the sheer power and might of the American military, not to mention their success rate. It is amazing to me how the mainstream media is rooting against what? President Trump, which then means they're rooting against the United States military, which then means they're rooting against America. It really is quite stunning. Well, Pete Hegseth is not happy about it.
For example, a banner or a headline, Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate? Because they are. They know it, and so do you, if it can be admitted.
Now, let me just say this, because I've been advising the Trump administration to make sure that we take the Straits of Hormuz very seriously. I don't want to see any civilian ships being bombed with unmanned vessels on the sea or drones being taken out. Those are hiccups, and those hiccups can be admitted. In any war, you cannot operate at Six Sigma, at 100% success rate. It's just not going to happen. We know we've already lost 13 service members. 13 too many, quite frankly, but this is what happens in war. And then there is the Straits of Hormuz. Look, you know that I love the United States military, and I love what Hegseth and his team and President Trump are doing. But I am of the model that the Straits of Hormuz is everything. And in many respects right now, it means more than anything in Iran does, because we've decimated so many of their installations in country. We have got to figure out a way where civilian vessels, freighters, are not being attacked. The bottom line is we have to operate Six Sigma there, where no boats are attacked. That will bring certainty back to the world. Yet Hegseth's not happy about the criticism of what's happening in the Straits of Hormuz.
Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do, hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better.
Look, the reality is we had multiple freighters taken out. Is it perfect? No. Are those things going to happen? Probably. We'd like them not to happen. But the reality is, not to defend CNN, that wasn't just CNN saying that. I talked to people inside the Pentagon that were steaming mad over those freighters being taken out. And I had word that President Trump was steaming mad over those freighters being set on fire because he knows the implications on a world economy. Now, then you get to, so when something like that happens, what do you do about it? Well, this is what I love about this military under Hegseth and President Trump, is they respond, and they respond in a big way. This is Dan Kane, Raisin Kane, as he's known.
They're continuing to destroy the Iranian Navy to ensure freedom of navigation, and this means going after Iran's mine-laying capability and destroying their ability to attack commercial vessels.
So what else can be done? You could recruit a large contingent of other nations to help out in the straits, on the waters, with boats, put up money. This is something Kevin O'Leary, from Shark Tank, who I think has been a great straight shooter through so many things. This was a recommendation that he's making.
The U.S. cost so far about $11-12 billion. I know it sounds like a lot of money. It's a rounding error in the cost of this thing staying closed to all of our allies that buy our goods and services. So you have to put it in context. When we get out of this thing, I guarantee you there will be a new policy on keeping that 2-mile stretch. That's all it is that the Iranians say they're mining right now. Who knows? But the point is that will stay open in perpetuity no matter what the cost is.
Yeah. And I think Kevin O'Leary is correct there. Now, you also have another issue in all of this, which is something to navigate. That's the issue with Russia and the issue of China. Apparently, Russia is helping Iran, China helping Iran. President Trump said, hey, this is to be expected. We're helping Ukraine. They're helping Iran. President Trump downplayed it. But what is the role with these two countries? How do we deal with them? President Trump is going to go to Beijing fairly soon. I would offer up that President Trump probably needs to watch his back if he was to go to Beijing, if that's where he ends up meeting Xi Jinping. I want to bring in now retired CIA senior operations officer and founder of Tower Strategy. Rick De La Torre is here. Rick, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Rick, let's start with the Straits of Hormuz first. You worked inside the CIA. It's very difficult to defend these ships. You got a large coastline. How important is actual intelligence when it comes to defending the Straits of Hormuz?
Well, it's extremely important. I mean, and Secretary of War Hegseth is correct. I mean, this isn't something that we just discovered last week or something. I remember when I was enlisted in the Navy in the Fifth Fleet, I used to do the intelligence briefings for our Strait of Hormuz passage of our ships. Look, this is part of the playbook of Iran. They launch asymmetric warfare whenever the political winds don't favor them. They've done this before. It's critically important that we control the Strait of Hormuz. Over 20% of all fuel, of crude, and about another 20% of LNG, 11% of global trade goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So it's paramount that we get that situation under control. And I'm confident we can. The technology is there. The capabilities are there. Right now, what we need to do is focus on their medium and short range missile systems and some of their drone programs. And once we do have complete air superiority, we'll be in a much better position.
Were you surprised, as I was, that they were actually able to get as close as they did to set some of those freighters on fire by blowing them up? I was actually surprised that they managed to carry that out.
Right. So Iran has had a lot of different kinds of tactics, and they've thought this through. If push came to shove and they needed to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, they've had plans on the books to carry this stuff out. And that's either using their speedboats, laying mines, drones. All of that stuff is something that they have access to and they can do. It doesn't take much to really, have a catastrophic failure aboard one of these tankers. If you disable the propeller systems, if you hit the side of the ship with any kind of explosive. That those ships aren't designed. They're not designed to fight wars, right? They're not designed to fight back. They're just moving cargo. So they don't do well when they're attacked.
All right, let me ask you about China. President Trump looks like he's going to meet with Xi Jinping. I do think it's interesting. President Trump has not been out there slamming China, slamming Russia. He's been very careful about his words. I think this is all by design, in fact. But this is my friend Gordon Chang, who's a great expert on China, offering up some advice to the administration about President Trump's future meeting with Xi Jinping. Take a listen to this.
It's sounds like conspiracy theory. It's like brainwave weapon against Trump that won't be immediately obvious when it's first deployed against him. But he's the only thing standing between China and world domination at this point, in my view. Gordon, close it out.
Yeah, we know that the Chinese used some sort of sonic weapon against American diplomats in the Guangzhou consulate. That's basically the Havana syndrome. I'm sure the Chinese got it from the Russians or they gave it to the Russians. Yeah, President Trump should not go to Beijing.
Rick De La Torre, do you agree with Gordon Chang?
I have a lot of respect for Gordon. I think he's probably one of the smartest and most brilliant men out there discussing the China issue. I do believe that we do need to negotiate with China. We do need to bring them to the table. It's something it's paramount for the global economy, and also they are the only real existential threat to the United States from a military power position.
Rick,
right now China is at its weakest, and I go ahead.
Rick, I don't think he was saying don't negotiate with China. He was saying don't go to Beijing. They may use one of these sonic weapons on President Trump that would be discovered later, this Havana syndrome.
Right. Look, I'm very confident in the security measures that they take to prevent that kind of thing from occurring. AHI's Havana syndrome is something that has occurred over the last few years. Some of those things obviously have led to a lot more investigations, and we're learning more and more about it every day. I mean, it is real, but that shouldn't prevent the world leader from heading over there. I mean, I think if China were to do anything like that, they would know that is probably the closest thing to a declaration of war, and I just don't see that in the cards.
Yeah, let's hope not. Rick De La Torre, I appreciate you coming on a Friday evening. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I want to turn now to the issue at home, one of the most important issues that we have facing America today, and that is getting the SAVE Act passed. Folks, I'm here to tell you tonight, I'm going to announce something. I make predictions all the time. This isn't passing. There's no way they're getting this through. I hate to tell you this. I'm very, very disappointed. And it's a shame because I want you to take a look at the polls that are out there now. This is from Harvard, 81% favor voter ID. From Pew Research, 83% favor voter ID. This is of all Americans, by the way. Gallup, 84%. Rasmussen, 75%. Okay? So will the Senate pass this? Not a chance. Here's why. You have very important senators like Josh Hawley basically signaling it's not going to happen.
It seems like Thune specifically is, reluctant to move forward with implementing the talking filibuster.
Yeah, I'll let him speak to that. I mean, I would just say that my view is that this is extremely important, and it's just a myth that to make people actually go and defend their position on the floor is somehow a great break with Senate tradition. That's not true. This is how the filibuster's always been implemented. You want to stall something, you can go to the floor. Ted Cruz once read children's books on the floor, for heaven's sake.
So he says it's a myth that we don't do that. Well, and he is right. They do it and can do it. I don't think it's going to happen because you have people like Lisa Murkowski and others, Susan Collins, Tom Tillis. But Lisa Murkowski, they caught up with her. Watch this.
Not as it is drafted, no.
Why not?
The implementation in a rural state like Alaska is going to disenfranchise an extraordinary majority.
disenfranchise a extraordinary majority. Who are you talking about, Lisa Murkowski? And by the way, Alison Steinberg deserves a huge amount of credit for chasing down these senators. She's with Lindell TV. She does great work over there. And I appreciate her letting us use some of her clips because she catches these people. Nobody's getting disenfranchised. And it's really offensive to say that they are. Now you've got John Cornyn as well. This is the guy who's got a fight against his hands with Ken Paxton, our attorney general in Texas. Close to beating him in a runoff, by the way, that's coming up. I want you to watch this confrontation between him and Dick Durbin. Now, all of a sudden, Cornyn's pretending to play tough about the SAVE Act. But he gets caught here as being out of touch.
So I don't understand how it could disenfranchise millions of Americans, and maybe he would explain.
I'm happy to. Thank you for that question, because I think all of us should be aware of the fact of what is required by this act when it comes to registering to vote. You have to present identification, correct? But your driver's license, which most people use in the course of business every single day, is not acceptable. What is acceptable is a passport. It means ultimately that those people will not be voting. And I think that...
I don't need to hear Dick Durbin talk about this, because what Dick Durbin doesn't understand is it's not required to have a passport. You can use a birth certificate and your driver's license. But roll the next one with Cornyn, where they talk about amendments.
What do you have to say to the Americans who are questioning why President Trump...
It means ultimately that those people will not be voting. And I think that is the ultimate goal of this administration.
One last question. Those are all matters that could be addressed by amendments to the bill itself if we get on the bill, correct?
That was the most important part of that exchange. Could be handled with amendments. Why do you need amendments? The Republicans control the United States Senate, Cornyn. You don't need amendments. And by the way, you don't even understand the bill. What Durbin was just telling you there is an absolute falsity. You don't need all those things that he was talking about. And you can bring your marriage license to match your birth certificate. But Cornyn doesn't even understand that. He's talking about amendments of working with Democrats. This is the problem of where we are today. I want to bring in now founder and editor of the Gateway Pundit. He's been a big fighter on this issue of the SAVE Act. Jim Hoft is here. Jim, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you, Grant. Great topic, Jim, very important.
I don't know what you think about my declaration, but Jim, this is not getting passed. I don't see how it happens. I don't think we have any fighters in the Senate. I don't think they're going to take it up. Please tell me I'm wrong, Jim. I beg you to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I wish I could, Grant, but I'm right there with you. I don't see this passing, and it's not because they can't. It's because they don't have the will. And Senator Thune, who's the majority leader there, the more he talks, the more my jaw drops to the floor. I can't believe what a weakling this guy is. He should be voted out of the majority leader role. He also should be voted out of the Senate. This guy's a disgrace. This is like you showed earlier, Grant, this is an issue that has 84% of the American public, not just Republicans. This is all Americans. 84%. You can't find an issue that has more agreement among the American people. And yet these weak Republicans can't find a way to pass it. It's a disgrace. I'm outraged. I'm at the point, and I know a lot of Republicans are, where we're thinking, why are we voting for these guys? They don't do a thing that we asked them to do.
Well, I'm so glad you bring that up, because I mentioned Alison Steinberg. She caught up with John Cornyn. I believe it's cut 21 for the guys behind the glass. She caught up with John Cornyn about now just wanting President Trump's endorsement after he's really been a rhino is an understatement. I'm going to play the clip and let you respond.
What do you have to say to the Americans who are questioning why President Trump should endorse you when many say that you've been vehemently against his agenda?
Do you speak for all these Americans? I don't understand.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Yeah.
Many people are asking this question. Do you have a response? I mean, you've been borderline pro-amnesty, red flag laws.
Are you being paid?
Anti-border
Are you being paid by
By the Paxton campaign?
No, I'm just a concerned American citizen representing millions of other Americans.
No, I think you're a paid influencer.
Jim, it's so offensive. A paid influencer. She's just asking him legitimate questions.
Right. That's the real John Thorne right there. That guy is he's a mean person. He hates Trump. He's playing these games now like they all do. And, certainly I'm not falling for it. I know you're not falling for it. A lot of Americans aren't falling for it. I hope the people of Texas don't fall for that crap, because he is very dangerous. And this would be his last term if he is reelected, and he would just be a danger, just like we're seeing with a couple of these other guys.
It is so true. Great warning about John Cornyn. Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit, such a great organization you got over there. Urge everyone to go check it out. The Gateway Pundit, Jim Hoft. Thank you, my friend, as always.
Thank you, Grant.
Absolutely. You can check my podcast out on the Gateway Pundit as well a few times a week, and I love that outlet. I really, really do. All right, folks, listen up. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals, and that's why you need to consider Birch Gold, all right? Buying from friends at Birch Gold Group is a great idea. Birch Gold Group can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text America to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. Text America to the number 989898. Do it today. All right, up next, we've all heard about Somali fraud in Minnesota, but what about the 650,000 missing dollars from California libraries? And Dolly Parton's involved with this? We'll break it down.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order. Real America's voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through RAV. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
Hello, this is Hockey Nut from Weyerhaeuser, Wisconsin. Just saying, tune in to Real America's Voice for the truth.
Hi, my name's Paul Foyer. I'm Foyer04 in the Getter Chat. I love rap for all the Getter, all the War Room Posse, and all of you guys. Love y'all.
Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. I'll tell you what, amazing stuff. We have all of the fraud going on in Minnesota. But what about fraud in California? I believe California, the fraud there, will so outnumber the fraud in Minnesota, it's going to knock your socks off. Let me show you this picture of California State Librarian Greg Lucas. Apparently, $650,000. Do we have it? There he is. He looks like a librarian. Or Kenny Rogers. I don't know. $650,000. It's fitting. Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers are connected. Anyway, $650,000 for Dolly Parton's children's literacy program has absolutely disappeared. I want to bring in now the host of the Morning Answer out on AM 870. Jennifer Horn is with us. Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Grant. And I love the Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton reference. Well done.
I'm sure Dolly would not be happy about her $650,000. I mean, not hers, but named after her. Missy, can you tell me what the deal is here?
I wish that I could give you a full explanation, but I don't even think the state librarian knows. So first of all, mind blown that California has a state librarian. I didn't know that was a thing, but we learn something every day. And it turns out, and Dolly Parton does incredible work. And look, California can do a lot of things, but when you mess with Dolly Parton, now you have you got a fight on your hands because everybody loves Dolly. But Dolly Parton has this incredible program that's supposed to foster a love of reading amongst young people. And so she sends out money that's supposed to buy books to get to children so that they can foster their love of reading. Well, it turns out that this money, along with other taxpayer dollars, were sent over to the state librarian. And this story is going to sound really familiar to you, Grant, because it's the old play that Democrats do every time when they want to start taking money in and making themselves and their friends more powerful. So apparently, instead of just buying the books or sending this to state libraries across California, instead, they created a nonprofit organization. They gave Dolly's money along with millions of state dollars to this organization. And then what happens? Well, the money stops going to where it's supposed to go. And so some Republican representatives, and God love Shannon Grove, she does a great job in the California State Senate, said, what's going on? Where is this money? There's been, it looks like there's no accounting for how this money and other tax dollars were spent. She's asking questions. This guy was asked 6 times, a state librarian, and still has not been able to turn over the receipts. But that they were caught red-handed because this Strong Readers nonprofit has now been shut down, according to Politico, as of last September. So obviously there was something going on, and they were misusing that money or using it to make money for themselves, their friends, and to keep Democrats in control of California.
Look, it's not a huge number in the big scheme of things. We're used to talking in billions. This is 650,000. Yeah. The thing with California, and probably many state governments, but really California, I'll bet you there's a million of these things that you could find once you start to dig in here. 650K here, 800K here. This is happening all over the place. Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely. I know so. In fact, and by the way, this is just the $650,000 we're talking about from Dolly, but this library program took in millions of dollars from taxpayers as well in California. So this is a lot of money that we're talking about. But just this week, California is like a hotspot. It's like trick or treating for the mainstream news media. You come digging here and we're going to give you a fraud story. CBS News was here and uncovered a whole lot of fraud with the Medicaid program and with hospice care, and Fox News was here as well. Get this story. There's a doctor who's 87 years old, Grant, who in his name had 76,000 claims for Medicaid, over $600 million in payout in your taxpayer dollars, in my taxpayer dollars, to one 87-year-old doctor. Now, this guy's like, this wasn't me. So obviously, these criminals, let's give the guy the benefit of the doubt, come up, they find a guy's medical licenses number, and all of a sudden they start putting all of these claims in. And now the state's down $600 million in false Medicaid claims. And that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what they're doing with the hospice fraud that's been going on in the state of California. Los Angeles is the hotspot, apparently, of the whole entire country for hospice fraud.
So break this down for you. He's 87 years old. How does he even do the numbers to have all of these cases and that much fraud? I mean, it's mind-boggling.
It's not even 1,000 claims for every year that he's been on the planet. I mean, think about that. 76,000 claims. That is physically impossible for anyone, especially an 87-year-old doctor who just is his lone guy, the sole doctor in his practice. It's humanly impossible. But yet, how does that not get uncovered in the state? Is there no one who's watching this and thinking, maybe we ought to blow the whistle on 76,000 claims from one single doctor?
All right. You're going to have your hands full out there on AM 870 with dealing with all this stuff, and there'll be lots to talk about, I'm sure. This one was really something else, though. I didn't know your city gets to be so bad that you have to put out a video telling people not to poop on the bus. Watch this. Wrap it up in 20 seconds for me.
I think the video says it all. The fact that you have to ride the bus and be pushed into mass transit because they want to eliminate your gas-powered vehicle, yet there is a rule that you cannot poop on the bus, is all you need to know for a Friday. LA's in trouble.
Unbelievable. Jennifer Horn, it is always great to see you. Thank you. You can catch her out on AM 870 out in Los Angeles and on X at Jennifer Horn. And give her a follow. I would urge all of you. All right, real quick, you got to show this video from California, Northern California here. This is $1.7 million stolen. Wait till you see this giant crew that comes in here and robs the jewelry store. $1.7 million. Unbelievable. That's Gavin Newsom's California for you. All right, folks, listen up. America is focused on strengthening domestic energy production and securing reliable resources for the future. One company working on that is Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. After decades of research, go to lostsoldier.com. That's lostsoldier.com. Go.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
Hi, this is Kelly Renee from Northern California Hills, MAGA country. The reason I watch Real America's Voice is for the faith, the family, and the freedom. Giddy up!
Welcome back, everyone. Friday, that means it's my time for my favorite segment of the week. That, of course, is the body language segment. Let's bring in our good friend, host of the Behavior Panel out on YouTube and former military interrogator, body language and behavior expert, Greg Hartley is with us. Greg, welcome back, my friend.
Thanks, Grant. Always a pleasure.
All right, this one was an interesting one, Greg. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, was doing an interview with Sky News, and it gets broken up to call the secretary into the Situation Room that the president is requesting him. Let's watch this go down.
I listened to you on the...
The president wants you. Sorry, the president wants you for money.
Oh, okay. Okay. No problem at all. See you shortly, Mr. Secretary.
You can work that in.
All right, interesting moment. Greg, take it away.
Well, you know, I always say that this isn't reading minds, but this is damn near close if you pay attention to this body language. The recognition of the person off camera with the brow up as he looks over to give them permission to speak almost does an eye roll as he realizes he's about to lose Bessent. And then if you pay attention, you watch the sides of his mouth withdraw. That's disappointment, disapproval, disdain. He lowers his head in disappointment. His chin boss engages in acceptance, and he does a lip compression to withhold information, withhold emotion. It's a beautiful thing. It's a great illustrator of well-maintained composure, still bleeding body language that we can all read.
All right, so what you're talking about Bessent, or are you talking about the reporter?
No, the interviewer. Yeah, no, I'm sorry I didn't say that first. This interviewer is bleeding information. Bessent's kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, I got to go. Yeah, I got it. So it's an interesting thing to watch.
What's interesting, some background, I don't even know if you knew this or not, but it was somewhat of a tenacious interview. There was some real back and forth between these two people. So, I think maybe the interviewer was looking at this like, is this an excuse just to get him a break from this?
Well, all that facial expression, like I say, we can't read minds, but that's damn close. You can see he's frustrated with it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, after he was pulled away, well, he comes back. So let's check it out again.
Mr. Secretary, I have to say, it's a first, I'm sure a last as well, that an interviewee's been pulled away to go to the Situation Room. How was the president? Was he stressed?
No, the president is in great spirits. The Iranian mission is proceeding well ahead of schedule.
Greg?
You know, I love this one because I don't know who's more stressed. The interviewer sounds more stressed. You're in breaking words and breaking sentences. And remember, we always talk about there is no such thing as a body language of deception, only of stress. And what happens is when your brain and your mouth are telling two different stories, your body reacts. So you have a tendency to rifle around behind the facts. Watch Bessent, however. He does a little bit of that too, but he blinks. He has a blink rate that's increased. We associate with stress. And then if you pay attention to that slowing of words, it could be him thinking of the right way to say the words about Trump. Because if you go look at his body language in many other places, when he's off non-core information for him, something about the economy or that, he does this all the time. When you ask him a question off his core competency, watch his face and he blinks his eyes and stutters and stammers a bit. So baseline.
It's interesting when it comes to Bessent. He looks like he would be hard to read when it comes to body language. He's very, almost overly stiff.
He is very stiff. He's very poised. And when he's on message, he's very fluid. When you ask him a question about something very complex financially, boom, 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 he rattles it off. When you ask him to think about a person or other people, watch his blink rate increase and him slow and stammer. I think he's just that guy. Maybe he's just more comfortable talking about those things and less likely to appear nervous.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. All right, this one was interesting one. Jake Paul, I guess, is Jake the brother that does professional wrestling? I think he is. Jake Paul of the Paul brothers goes to meet with President Trump and interview Trump for his podcast. Let's watch President Trump here.
Because I said, why is there so much blood? And the ear's a big bleeder, having to do with cartilage. I didn't want to go into it too much, but it was bloody as hell. So when I checked, I put my hand up. I said, I brought it down, and it was loaded up. So I said, that's either the biggest mosquito bite in history, or I just got shot. And that was not a pleasant experience.
What do you see there, Greg?
So I love this one because it shows emotional eye accessing. We say when a person's feeling emotional, if you think about the last funeral you went to, you'll look down into your right. We see Trump doing that as he talks about reaching up and touching the blood. That's what we would expect. And when he talks about touching the blood and realizing it, see his face go into shock. We call that residual emotion. If a person experiences something, they're going to have residual emotion. And then he does an after-event commentary about, like, the mosquito. I doubt he probably said that at the time. That's something you add later. But we know that every time you open any memory, you edit that memory to a degree. So if you think of something from your childhood, you're thinking of as Grant now, not Grant when you were 6. So that's the reason, part of the reason that eyewitnesses are not really reliable, because you have to separate them or they contaminate each other.
All right, you often say that you can't tell deception through body language, only stress. But can you tell truth? Because it almost sounds like the things he's doing would lead you to believe that he is being truthful.
Well, yeah. So, Grant, great question, because when we talk about congruency, it's my body delivering the message. My mouth and my brain are all aligned. That's congruency and usually truthful. When we see a deviation, it doesn't mean they're lying. It means something's going on. So if my brain has one story, my mouth has another story, even for a reason that I'm trying to calculate how it's going to be perceived, then my body's going to do something wonky. And that's what we look for.
All right, let's take a look at Pete Hegseth. He's our Secretary of War. He was ticked at the mainstream media today for writing headlines he's not happy with. Let's play that clip.
Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do, hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better.
Greg, tell me.
So this is your training showing. Grant, I watch you all the time. You don't pound and raise your hands and scream and bang the table, because that's not what journalists do, what TV reporters do. And he's got experience in that. So he has to reach further than an average person would have to be more emphatic. And imagine now if he were Khrushchev banging the shoe on the table, he'd be driving his point home better. But because he is practiced in there, that stuff leaves residuals, and we see that from him. I think his message is clear that he's amused at what they're doing and sarcastic and not happy with it, but he's not pounding the table, not emphatic.
What's the saying? You could take the TV guy out of the studio, but you can't take the studio out of the TV. Something That's like right. that, right? You get where I'm going on that one.
Yep.
All right. Let's do. We got time for one more. This is the head of Iran's judiciary on the streets for this is Quds Day while a bomb explodes nearby. This should be in Farsi for everyone at home. He says the people are not afraid. Okay, let's watch.
در کنار مردم تا آخرین نفس و تا آخرین لحظه در مقابل اونها
Greg, what do you see here?
Well, what's beautiful is he still keeps delivering the party message regardless. Now, remember, this guy's a cleric, first of all. Most people don't realize that most of those guys in the government are clerics. Another interesting point for you, the white hat means he can't claim his direct lineage to Muhammad. Anybody in a black hat can. Well, that's a big deal. So he's a second-tier guy, but he's in charge of the whole judiciary. He stands his party line, but look around him at the apprehension and the agitation, and they're ready to go. And when they force him to do it, look at that wrinkling of his nose in disgust. Although he even shows some fight or flight, because look at him track the threat.
You know, he tracks the threat, but I got to say, the guy stayed pretty stone cold to a bomb going off. It probably was a Trump missile headed for him. Who knows?
It might have been headed for him, but he was pretty stoic. I give him that. One quick threat check, and that's about it.
Yeah. For everybody at home, Greg, you spent a career in the military basically interrogating people just like that guy, didn't you?
Well, I spent a whole lot of my life speaking Arabic, doing that side of the world, and then spent all through the 90s a lot of focus on Iran and what they were capable of and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I know that area of the world pretty well.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff, Greg Hartley. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Real pleasure, as usual.
Absolutely. All right. Remember, you can check out Greg's website at readbodylanguage.com and, of course, his YouTube show, The Behavior Panel. All right. An Arizona state senator thinks women who don't want to compete against men in sports just aren't competitive enough. You'll hear her own words next. But first, a quick reminder, March 25th through the 28th, Real America's Voice goes to Dallas for CPAC, presented by Patriot Mobile and Birch Gold.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th, CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. G and others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again.
Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
Hey, this is SEAL Team from Missouri. I like Real America's Voice because it's real news for real people, and it's real good.
Hi, this is Kelly Renee from Northern California Hills, MAGA country. The reason I watch Real America's Voice is for the faith, the family, and the freedom. Giddy up!
Welcome back, everyone. You know, one of the things that we all want to make sure happens is that men cannot be competing in women's sports. And I would say at all levels. If men want to compete with women, then go join a co-ed league. It's literally that simple. When I saw this exchange that I'm going to spend a little time on, it is so outrageous. This is a state senator from Arizona. Her name is Catherine Miranda. She claims to be an athlete, but she is so degrading to this Division I athlete, a volleyball player from Weber State, who is testifying in favor of a bill that would ban men from playing in women's sports. Listen to this Senator Miranda.
It's the individual person on how competitive you want to be. So you grew up one way. I grew up a different way. I would have taken on a man in a heartbeat. I played in, I was the only girl sometimes in men's sports. But to have a man on my team, I would have welcomed it.
So she's saying somehow you're not brave enough. You're not as brave as me. I like the challenge of playing against men. We're talking about a high level of sports where there are scholarships at stake, and you're going to tell me that men are now going to go take women's scholarships? What happened to all of these rules to make it where there's equal opportunity for women and men? You're going to have men going into women's sports? I don't need to make the argument to you. All of you know the argument. But this is the arrogance of the left. They want to lecture a Division I athlete here. She continues.
When women like me, we have a different opinion. So how competitive do you think you really are?
Madam Chair, Senator, as elite level athletes, I would say we're very competitive, which is why this bill designates 3 categories: male, female, and co-ed. The idea is that everyone can participate in sport. If you want to compete against your man, absolutely. Let's do that in the co-ed section.
This young lady keeping her cool against a senator who is so offensive is absolutely amazing to me, because I would have lost it. How competitive do you think you are? That young lady plays volleyball, or did, for Weber State. It's a Division I school. How competitive do you think you are is about as condescending as it can possibly get. And this is what you get from the left, of course. Let me just play one more response from that athlete. Her name is Kaylee Ray, and she's amazing.
Because when men are allowed access into women's sports and spaces, it's not women's sports and spaces anymore. And as the passage of Title IX was so important, there is a need, a necessity to protect women's spaces. It's not to say that people are banned from sports. That's not the situation at all. If that's the level of competition you want to have for yourself, amazing. Go try it in the co-ed section.
It's a well-spoken young lady. I don't know how you argue with that, only to say that she's not competitive enough to want to compete against a man. Not to mention, they really don't want men in their locker rooms. They don't want men hanging around as they're training. They don't want men in many places. The showers, all of it. And yet those on the left just can't figure it out. This is the case in Washington as well, where a panel of very woke judges upheld a decision that an all-women's spa, the spa is called Olympus Spa, did not want to let a tranny in that had not gone through surgery, full male genitalia exposed. They said, you can't be here. Well, this woke court overturned or upheld the ruling, says, no, you got to let them in. It's absolutely crazy. This is the tranny in question. His name is Haven Wilvich, I think. There you go. Now, if your wife or daughter is going to the spa, do you really want Haven Wilvich hanging around the locker room, in the spa, in the jacuzzi with your wife or daughter? Of course not. Here's where I'm going to restore your faith in humanity just a little bit. One of the judges was not woke, and he dissented. And he wrote a dissent in a big way. Quote 6 for the guys behind the glass, please. It felt really terrible to be invited to an event and find out I can't attend because the spa is willing to reduce me to my genitalia and not see me as a woman that I am. That's the tranny who wrote that, excuse me. Then we go to the judge's decision, okay? Judge's decision, quote, this is a case about, excuse my language, folks, swinging. The Christian owners of Olympus Spa, a traditional Korean woman-only nude spa, understandably don't want them in their spa. Their female employees and female clients don't want them in their spa either. But Washington State insists on them, and now so does the Ninth Circuit. This judge goes on to write, I'll just read you a little more, okay? Quote, you may think that swinging, I'll just say it, shouldn't appear in a judicial opinion. You're not wrong. But as much as you might understandably be shocked and displeased to merely encounter that phrase in this opinion, I hope we can all agree that it is far more jarring for the unsuspecting and exposed women at Olympus Spa, some as young as 13, to be visibly assaulted by the real thing. And folks, that's what it is. It's being visibly assaulted. Thank you to the one judge who's got some common sense out on the Ninth Circuit. But now, this is going to ruin the business of Olympus Spa. Who's going to go there if they got transgenders walking around all over the place? All right, folks, up next, we all know President Trump is a fighter, but did you know he broke up a fight for Kobe Bryant? We'll hear that story next.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again.
Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel. Film yourself cracking one open and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone. You want to see why we need DHS open? These TSA agents, they're actually quitting because they're sick of not getting paid, and they don't make a lot of money. Look at the lines at Austin Airport. This is wild. This line goes out the terminal and into the street. Now, Austin is not a very big airport, but this is brutal, folks.